Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. I couldn't sleep, so I thought, let's play a bit with our friend Black Adam. Also, it's about like 3 in the morning as I'm recording this, so if you don't see a lot of people in the game, that is why. The last time I did that, people were a bit surprised that there was not that many people in the game, especially in the Watchtower, actually in the Hall of Doom. And the reason was quite simple. It was 3 in the morning, so that's why there wasn't that many people. Usually at this time of the day, people are sleeping.
LexCorp funds the meta wing of Metropolis General Hospital as a front for some very illegal experiments. Something went haywire and the patients are rioting. We need those patients back. And the press kept out. I'll give you a special encasement device to use. Think you can handle it?
So in our main mission, we had reached a point where we had to talk to Agent Respect, so earning respect.
You're on the job. It seems patients at my meta-human wing at Metropolis General Hospital are resisting Dr. Psycho's experimental treatment. But work on the meta-human brain is at a crucial stage. I don't need this interruption or the publicity. Put down the riot and retrieve my test subjects.
So we reached a point, we earned a skill point. I still have 2 abilities to purchase in the weapon combo. Let's go with the back fist attack, tap to hold. So let's try it out, tap, hold, and hold. So once we unlock all the combos, it's usually a bit smoother. It helps to be a bit smoother with the gameplay. And we did gain an ability, Circuit Breaker. I could use it, but I already have the Word of Power Supercharge, which works well enough, and it works with the theme of our evil friend Black Adam, so we're going to keep using it. We could talk to Parasite as well. We'll do that some other time. So let us go to Metropolis and continue our mission. In the long run, we'll probably play as many missions as we can. And we should have a side quest right here. Oh, actually, this is for another mission. We'll play it some other time. Basically, now we have to go to Metropolis General Hospital. We are going to have to go fight the evil Supergirl, if I recall correctly. There's usually quite a few objectives we can accomplish here.
Special containment fields in these metas. Activated, and they'll give you no further trouble.
So you can see there's a few agents. Actually, there's an agent. And there is a doctor who will give us a side quest.
Those escaping metas stole highly confidential documents about
Nope, some evil NPC doesn't want to help us.
We need that stuff back before it gets to the press.
There we go. There's no reason not to pick up the quests. You can achieve all the quests at the same time, more or less. No, wrong way, wrong way. I guess I played this mission too often as a hero. So if you play an evil villain, you have to bring the patients here. If you play a hero character, you have to bring the patients to the van right here. So that's where I was going. Force of habit. Let's pull back a bit. I do have a tendency to play a bit close to the action. Let's see if I can bring both before the countdown expire. Oh yeah, we should be able to. Unless someone else picks it up. There seems to be a few players around here. So even though it's 3 in the morning, there's still a few players around. But obviously if you went to, let's say, the Hall of Doom, there probably wouldn't be that many people at this time of the day. So last time I played this early, some people were a bit surprised at how few people there was in-game. And also, depending on the server you play on, it could be a bit more deserted at 3 in the morning. Oh, somehow I missed out a lot. Let's pick that little suitcase first. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of objectives to the right that we have to achieve, but we can do them all pretty much more or less at the same time. So if you want to maximize a bit your time, you are going to want to pick them up all at the same time and then accomplish them at the same time. But if you're in no rush, you can complete one mission, then go pick up the next one and complete it. And we have to be a bit careful here. You can see there's our friend Bizarro over there. At level 17, we're no match for Bizarro. If there was other players fighting Bizarro, I would be tempted to try to fight him out. But by ourselves, we're no match for Bizarro at this point. We used to be able to play the Bizarro mission before level 30, but nowadays, at some point, they made the bounties more difficult than they used to be. So it became, let's say, much more difficult to play those bounties before you reach level 30, unless you have if you have a big group with you, and yeah, you probably could defeat Bizarro, but by yourself, depending on the power you use, it could be still an option. Oh, evil truck that spawned at the wrong time. So we're pretty much done with the patients, other than maybe subduing them. So with the electric, as you can see, you have quite a few long-range abilities. Let's pick up the suitcase. Oh. You don't want to attack Bizarro by accident. So let's subdue one more patient and we should be okay. There we go. So you can see we have locate and defeat Bizarro, but again, we're no match for the little guy at this point. Oh, I guess he's gone. Oh, I'm so sad now. So let's just complete our mission on our journal.
Luther here. Naturally, the Daily Planet got wind of this little misunderstanding. We need to block all communications in or out. Take out any patients attacking the jamming devices on the hospital roof. Freedom of the press only goes so far.
So we got a nice ring. I didn't notice where we got it. And we got a belt. So let us continue. Oh, we have to go a bit further.
I hope the heroes kick your ass.
So here we have to defend. We're not sure why we keep them targeting it. There we go. We have to defend those little dish here. I guess dish is not quite the jammer. Could have sworn there used to be some enemies that will spawn. I haven't played this mission in a while, so I could be misremembering, or they could have tweaked the mission a bit. They often do that as time goes by. Which is why I pretty much have a whole bunch of walkthrough that goes back as far back as 5 years ago. But in 5 years, a lot of stuff changes have been made.
Chief Researcher's Journal. This heart is a telltale example of our profound work.
So let's pick the little side quest before we continue.
Some of these metas are wearing experimental enhancement devices. The things have gone totally haywire. The metas are going insane from the feedback.
So now we can continue.
Everyone will pay for the experiments done on me.
So here we have to destroy the vans. We have to get the device from the raging patients. Usually the raging patients are like the bigger guy. I'll try to show you one in just a minute. As for the babbling meta patients, that seems to be the smaller ones. Like that one, I think.
Huh? Where'd he go? Get him out of my head. I want to go home.
Oh, there's as you can see the bitter guy, the raging patient. So we need some of those as well.
I'm not afraid of you. No!
So we still need a few raging patients. So let's go get them. So let's try to focus only on the raging patients. Doesn't matter if we get some of the other patients. I've seen players who sometimes are don't really care and will defeat all the enemies they see. But often I'll see also players.
For Daily Planet Live. Lex Luthor announced today that the new metahuman medical wing at the Metropolis General Hospital, which is entirely funded by LexCorp, will also be entirely staffed by LexCorp as well. Despite the protests of numerous human rights groups, the wing currently remains open to metahumans seeking treatment for what Luthor terms their unique needs.
So I often see players who want to defeat every red dot on the map. But also I see a lot of players who sometimes are focused objectives. They only want to defeat the enemies they really need to, and nothing else. So I guess you're just going against the raging patient. Kind of would be focused objective. But sometimes even if you're focused on the objective you need, you still end up fighting a whole bunch of red dots that you don't really need to. So we seem to be done, so let's fly up so that we won't get attacked, and let's go see our journal. So let's complete our mission.
Technology is good, Lex, but not good enough. Supergirl's in your so-called hospital wing to shut it down permanently. Bring you and these allies of yours to justice.
So we got a mission reward box. Usually at this point it's a weapon. In the future it might be something else.
My lawyers will clear us of all blame. However, how convenient that he sent Supergirl. Get inside the hospital and use kryptonite to get a sample of her DNA. Oh, and retrieve Dr. Psycho so he can explain this debacle.
So let's go into the hospital. And let's go help our friend Dr. Psycho against the evil Supergirl. Speaking of Supergirl, I guess some of you guys may have heard the next season of Supergirl should be the last season. I'm not sure if it's going to be
Lex
like.
is demanding to know what went wrong with this operation. He wants the full story.
I'm not sure if it's going to be 20 or 23 episodes. A lot of seasons this year will be sadly shortened seasons because of whatever's been going on. I kind of liked the first season of Supergirl. It was almost as if we had, let's say, a female version of the Christopher Reeve Clark Kent, or the Christopher Reeve Superman. But then they got crazy with their drama. It's a bit sad, but what can you do?
Dr. Cisco journal entry.
Please calm down. I'm here to help you.
We have to get these meta patients back in their resequencing chambers before their DNA is compromised. I'll trap them in a stasis field. You get them on the transfer pad.
I guess the first season of Supergirl, I kind of had a nice balance between the drama and the action. There was a lot of drama, obviously. They kept on crying all the time. But there was some nice bits of actions from time to time. But then when the series was changed network and went to the CW, then they went way into the drama.
Please, no!
And I guess it's understandable. They didn't have as much budget. They had probably had a smaller budget at the time. So it's a lot cheaper to create a story around drama than it is to create around action. Action is a bit expensive to shoot.
Quit fighting. You're not getting out of here alive.
Help! Somebody help!
But even some of their other shows on the CW, like Arrow and Flash, had a pretty good balance of action and drama. But even they, at some point, they went overboard with the drama.
Oh, please, no!
Well, I guess it was nothing short of a small miracle that I actually enjoyed those shows at first. Because obviously I was never the target audience for those shows. Already when those shows started, I was like in my early 40s. So it's a small miracle that I was even into those shows. You always had to make a bit of abstraction that those shows were aimed at, let's say, a teen audience. Which is probably why a lot of the characters in the show acted, like a lot of the actors were like in their mid-20s, early 30s. And they were very much acting like they were 12 years old. It was always a bit strange to see them act pretty much like kids.
You're not going anywhere.
Especially when it came to the relationship between the characters.
Please,
I can't take it
if you
anymore.
remove them from those chambers without the proper shutdown codes, they'll die.
Then I'll just have to get those codes from the mainframe, won't I?
I guess with Arrow, you could almost excuse this at first.
Go to the mainframes and stop her. Destroy them if you have to, but don't let her get those codes.
Like Oliver was lost for 5 years on an island. So I could already imagine if someone got lost for 5 years on an island and then they finally came back, I can see how their mother would kind of sort of treat them as if they were still 12 years old, or the relationship between the characters maybe would not have grown. But we saw that also with The Flash, with pretty much every CW TV shows. They were acting... The relationship between the characters was very much like as if they were 12 years old. Which was easy enough to ignore. The problem was not so much them acting like they were 12 years old as them as the amount of drama or forced drama, I should say. Very often they would create drama around something that would have taken 2-minute discussion and the drama would have been cleared, but then of course that's also part of the way why they kind of acted like 12 years old, and maybe 12 years old wouldn't discuss their problems and solve them. But if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, you talk about your problems and solve them easily enough. So a lot of the drama in the CW shows depended on let's bring that little barrel with us. A lot of drama depended on miscommunication or misunderstanding, which would have been very easy to clear out. I guess any grown person would have gone to the source, found out what was the problem, and then solved it quickly enough. But obviously, if they had done that, there would have been no show, at least not the way they were written. I guess with better writing, they would have been able to have drama, but also have drama that actually made sense. So those shows were pretty much fun at first, but sadly I I got tired at some point. I just couldn't take the drama, especially the family drama. Yeah, I probably don't need to destroy those, but force of habit, I have to.
Dr. Cisco journal entry meta research project, day 8. If only I had a real meta subject to experiment on.
Let's grab the little investigation.
Chief Researcher's Journal. These vines are growing so rapidly, I'm worried about the container's integrity.
Dr. Cisco journal entry, meta research project, day 13. Research continues apace.
But you could tell also they were struggling with their budget, which never really was an issue. Like you could forgive them. Sometimes the visual effects were not the best, but it was easy enough to understand that they had the budget for a TV series, and especially on the CW. The CW was pretty much a smaller channel, so with a smaller audience, so you could easily forgive them for having, let's say, not the best special effects. But for a TV show, they did it well enough.
What did you just do? I'll pay you back. And I'm bringing friends.
Let's equip our new shoulders. Actually, it's only good for the style. So let's talk to our friend Dr. Psycho.
I could have handled Supergirl myself. I was simply plotting my next move while being tied up. I'll ensure my good friend Lex Luthor hires you again.
So let us skippy skip. I love watching those cinematics, but I do have a video called DC Universe Online the movie or something like that, where there's a whole bunch of those cinematics. So if you love those cinematics as much as I do, you could take a look at that video. Not sure why I can't. There we go.
Chief Researcher's Journal. It's not as dangerous when separated from its owner.
So there's little barrels like these that you have to bring. I'll show you where. Just over here. It's not a big deal and it's not important, but it will give us a feat. Oh, and there's our little treasure chesty. There's treasure chests spread throughout a whole bunch of missions like this one. So whenever you see those, break them open. So here we got a feat for opening 5 treasure chests. The feat goes all the way up to like 1,000 treasure chests. So anytime you see those treasure chests, break them up so that you can reach the feat someday. It's a feat that obviously you have to play the long game. It'll take a while to break 1,000 treasure chests, but also they usually give little rewards. Sometimes it's good rewards, sometimes not really. If you're lucky, you might get something good out of those. So let's grab the other barrel. There's a handful of barrels spread out throughout the mission. They're not that difficult to find. So for the CW TV shows, as a rule of thumb, at first I thought they did a pretty good job. Sadly, at some point you could tell that they were struggling with their budget. With Legends of Tomorrow, sadly what they ended up doing, they got rid of some of their most heavy effects characters. Like they got rid of Firestorm. You could tell at some point that it was expensive for them to use Firestorm's power. So sometimes you would go many episodes before you even saw Firestorm in the episode. And it was kind of weird sometimes. Very often they could have been able to fix an issue by just having Jefferson turn into Firestorm, but somehow they wouldn't do it. Or there's one season with what was the name of the doll, Bebo, where they pretty much gave color energy powers to all their characters. They gave it like a magic stone to all their characters, and it was weird to see the Atom, instead of using his Atom suit and do his Atom thing, he had this magic jewel that would create some shiny colors, and that probably was easier for them effect wise to pull off than to pull off the powers of the Atom. So sadly, you could see as time went by that they were trying to find, I guess, solutions so that the show to be able to cut down on cost. And that might be why also they increased the amount of drama. Again, doesn't cost a lot to having two characters complain that oh, you lied to me, or you're not my father, or having characters argue and go overboard with the drama. That's probably a lot less expensive than having action sequence with heavy with a lot of visual effects for Firestorm or the Atom. But also at some point they started to try to replace their main characters with side characters, like with the Flash. It was more obvious with the Flash. With the Flash, there's one season where they tried to introduce Ralph Dibny, and they started focusing a lot more.
Putting out that fire. Things could have gotten much worse, especially if Supergirl hadn't run into you.
Things are getting lively in Gotham. Talk to Two-Face for more details. He's in our North Burnley nightclub, waiting for you. Try not to stare. He hates that.
So here we have the little hint about the warp menu. So we'll dismiss that. Basically, you just need to go to your map menu. You go to warp menu, and then you have access to a whole bunch of points where you can warp to. And usually you have the most recent event, like here we have the 31st Century New Earth. So it was most obvious with the Flash. Basically, at some point, they introduced Ralph Dibny, and then the show was focusing a lot more on Ralph. It was focusing a lot more on Cisco, on Caitlin, on Iris, on anyone but the Flash. The Flash essentially became a side character in his own series, and it's something we've been seeing a lot since then. It wasn't new at the time, and it certainly hasn't been new since then. Since then, we saw a lot of series like that. The Witcher is probably another example of that. The series was called The Witcher, and somehow it focused a lot more on the sorceress or the little princess than it actually did The Witcher. It's sad, but it's something that keeps on happening. Then the season, so there was one season for the Flash where they would focus on Ralph, on Iris, on anyone else but the Flash. And then the next season, they even went one step further. They pretty much replaced the Flash with his black female lesbian daughter from the future. And the excess was likable enough. She was nice enough. But sadly, the show was called The Flash. The reason why I was watching that show was for The Flash. And when they decided to sideline The Flash for other characters, I wasn't too happy about that. We saw a similar thing with Green Arrow. And at first, I didn't mind so much. I kind of liked Roy. I kind of liked Thea when she was... I forget what her name was. I forget if she was Speedy or Red Arrow or... Anyways. I kind of liked Laurel. So when they had the group, the side group, like Laurel, Diggle, Thea, and Roy, I kind of liked those characters. But then later on, they changed. They had a huge change in the cast, and then they started focusing on Renee, which I kind of liked Renee. I kind of liked also Mr. Terrific. The name escapes me right now. But I really hated the new Black Canary. And I guess that's when things started to go wrong for me. And then when we had the season where Oliver ended up in jail, and they somehow started to focus, at least the first 3 or 4 episodes or so, they really focused a lot more on Oliver and than trying to have an whole ensemble cast. Then it reminded me why I enjoyed that show. Sadly, eventually they had to start focusing on anyone else but Oliver again. Oh well. But I watched, even though I kind of stopped watching those shows, I still watched the crossover. I loved I still have, I think, my video about the Crisis on Earth X. I really loved that one. I enjoyed the one with Dr. Destiny. I forget the name. And of course, Crisis on Infinite Earth was a pretty cool crossover. They made a few things that I wasn't too crazy about. Like I was hoping we would get a lot more of Kingdom Come Superman, or yeah, I guess we could call him Kingdom Come Superman with Brandon Routh. But sadly, they had to pull a bait and switch and replace him with the evil Lex Luthor, or the goofy Lex Luthor, I guess I should say. Let's see if that neck piece is any good for us. Oh, we'll get a ring again. Oh, there we go. The neck piece is an improvement. Let's see if we have anything else. So the next time we should go see Two-Face, but before we do that, let's go back to our lair. So let's reimprint. Oh, do we have a skill point still? Oh yeah. So we should be able to purchase our last weapon combo we need. So 2 tap, 2 hold. Let's give it a try. Tap, tap, hold, and hold. Not the most graceful of attack, but whatever gets the job done. So let's reimprint everything. So overall, I kind of liked those shows at first, which was nothing short of a small miracle, because obviously those shows were not made for me. But when they started increasing the drama, whatever the great thing about those shows, or even comics in general, is that it was like 80% action and 20% drama. And sadly, there was a shift that happened at some point where it became like a 90-95% drama and 5% action. So it's a bit sad, but it happens. Although in the case of the CW show, it will always add more drama than action, because again, it's a lot cheaper to shoot 2 people arguing than some action scenes. But somehow with Arrow and even with the Flash, they were able to pull off some pretty cool looking action sequences despite their small budget. I guess it forced them to be their small budget did force them to be creative at first, but then at some point there was a shift that happened, and they weren't so creative anymore, and they went full into the drama. So what can you do? And already I remember at the time, and sadly it was sad for shows like Black Lightning. Like already at the time with the Flash, I was getting really tired of the whole family drama of Joe always worrying about Iris. And then when we got the Black Lightning TV show, it was again a whole bunch of family drama, and I was already burnt out from the family drama from the Flash. So I watched the Black Lightning for like 3 episodes, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Afterwards, I pretty much stopped watching all the CW shows because I just couldn't take the drama anymore. What can you say? I guess there was only so much drama I could take before I just couldn't take it. But I still go back to watch at least the crossovers. Usually the crossovers. The good thing also is that even watching Crisis on Infinite Earths, even if I had missed out like a season or 2 of Legends of Tomorrow or The Flash or Supergirl, you could still understand what was going on. So on that front, they did a good job for that. The crossovers were, even though there was a lot of Easter eggs, and there's probably a lot of Easter eggs that had to do with the diverse series, it didn't really hurt the story itself. Like you could still watch Crisis on Infinite Earths without having watched the other shows for years and still understand what was going on. So that was a nice thing. Anyway, enough rambling about the CW TV shows. So next time with our friend Black Adam, we are going to go see Two-Face, and we'll probably end up fighting a lot of clowns. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. I have roughly 2,000 videos about this universe online at this point, so if I don't answer your question right away, just search in my videos. Odds are I already made a video that answers your question. Or click one of the videos that you see on your screen right now. Bye-bye.